It's early April and the pigeons are through the moult and looking good, particularly those early bred youngsters. I use the lights in the loft to help speed up the moulting of their flights. The lights are on until 8 p.m. during the summer months, but I cut the lights back slowly until 7 p.m. in March to finish off the body moult. Shortening the days increases the body moult. Now that the moult is finishing, I love to see the fall of the down feathers, telling me they're healthy, and those down feathers won't fall if they're not well.
Down feathers, just a nice amount for that amount of pigeons.
I only have 10 later bred youngsters in the loft, and even these were over in the loft before the end of December, but you can clearly see that they're behind the rest as far as the moult is concerned. Up until now, the pigeons have been out separate, cocks in the morning and hens in the evening, and swapped around each week. They were all let out together for the first time on the 1st of April 2025, 54 days before our first race. I did use the flag to get them all up the very first time I let them all out together.
All out together for the very first time. It's been 30 minutes.
I use the flag as a signal that they need to fly, and they need to come down once the flag is taken down. They didn't fly long that very first time, but at least they went up reasonably high and didn't just swing around the loft.
The weather's finally cooling a little bit. Here in Brisbane, been very hot, very humid, very wet. Nice fine day after a week of cloudy weather.
And I got them all in as soon as they came down. No more picking around the yard. They're in race mode now.
Okay, it's in the air or in the loft. This is where all the training I gave them earlier on as youngsters comes to play. They're easy to get in. Being fed twice a day, so they're not really hungry. They know they've got to go back in that loft.
All the work I put into them before Christmas ensured they had a really good start at flying once the moult was over. They flew separated from October through to early January, went up high and left the area on many occasions, so they know where the loft is, which gives them a great start to the race season. 4 days later and they went up really high. Again, not for very long, but I left the flag up for 15 minutes just to get them used to the flag.
Up nice and high.
The goshawk and the falcon have been around, but they're not causing as much problem as previous years. So far, that is.
In the bottom of the birds though. One pass and flying away.
On the 5th day, they went up really high and they left the area. About half of them came back after 15 minutes and the rest came shortly after. Very pleasing. They're straight back in the loft after each fly, and getting them in is really easy. Because of that training I gave them back when they were youngsters, they readily trap even though they're not really hungry.
Righto fellas, in you go. In you go. Skylar, get behind them. Go on, in you go. In you go. In you go. Go on. Get in the loft. Go on. In you go. Quick. In you go. Quick. In the loft. No feed in the loft yet. Wait till they cool down a little bit before I feed them. But they trap very well. All that training when they're youngsters, perseverance teaches them to go in, and they go left or right depending on what they've got used to, which self-separates them. There's always a few that are wrong, mainly ones that I had the sex wrong earlier on. Also some old birds, and they get smart after a while and learn that they go in the wrong side, so to speak. It is actually the right side as far as they're concerned. They're being fed all they want to eat, fairly light mixture. A couple of containers, that's the way I feed them. Come on then. You can see there ready to eat, but they're not overly hungry. They're certainly not starving. I never starve them. Got to separate them after I feed them. It's not a difficult thing to do. Come on then, come on boy. Let them eat that tin full and I'll come back and give them some more. Okay, the next 2 tinfuls. You can see even now, they're starting to leave a bit of the barley. So I still feed them more. Feed them like this morning and night. So they still trap very well, even though you can clearly see they're not being starved to make them trap. Sometimes they only eat the 2 tins. Sometimes they eat 3. Appetite varies and I feed them according to appetite. A few hens come into this side. Separate them after they're finished eating. The thing with separation is that they were exercised separately for several months up until Christmas, so they naturally break left or right when they come in. So they pretty much self-separate, which makes it a lot easier, but you still get a few that go across the wrong side. Some by mistake, some on purpose, so I'll have to separate them. Okay, they've finished eating. You can see there's a few grains of barley left. I'll look at separating them now. They've all got marker rings on, which tells me something. This is the hen side, so anything with a pink ring on is a hen. The number, last 2 digits below 50. White rings are hens, last 2 numbers above 50. And then you've got a few green ringers, they're long distance pigeons. Got the 2-year-olds in here too. So anything with a yellow ring on or an orange ring on is a cock. It shouldn't be over here. There's one self-separating, just the 2-year-old. They know the routine. Up there's a cock there. These blokes out of the road. This is their first week of being in together, so they don't really understand the separation process yet. For the end of the season, they'll self-separate pretty well. Like there's a 2-year-old, and so he knows the system straight over. And a cock up there. So you just go through them like that and do it, like I said, after you've done this a few times. They know the routine, they know to separate. Like I said, 90% of these are correct anyway, because they self-separated when they came in. I'll just go through and get the last few of them out, and then do the over the cock side.
Make up my own race mixes using my own grain combinations that I keep on a spreadsheet. The mixes vary as the season progresses, and they're really just a guide because I will change the mixes during the season depending on the pigeons and the race route conditions. I try to give the pigeons as many different grains that I can get to try and meet all of their nutritional requirements. I mix the grains on the back of my ute and I dry the mix in the sun before storing it.
Okay, time to make up some race mix. Start with the corn. This corn has come straight off the farm, hasn't been thoroughly cleaned. I go through it all. Pigeon there that stayed out, and the chooks are all coming to get something to eat. I don't want that pigeon getting anything to eat though. Oh, stay out like he did this morning, you don't get fed. Okay, sort in here. So I go through the grain, you don't get every bit of bad grain out of it. You get about 90%. It's pretty good corn, which is why we selected it. Straight off the header from the farm. These broken bits. There's a good sieve. A little bit of broken stuff comes out. Looks pretty good. Seems to be a lot of bad grains in there. A bit of broken stuff. Occasional grain like that, which I don't like. No real bad coloured grains. Some more broken grains. I'll probably do. Get it out here now. Put it in the back of the ute. Get it to dry in the sun. I'm working to a formula. Ratio, so many of those tins of corn to so many wheat. Final bit of a check here, and then put all this out to dry in the sun. Okay, that's the corn done. 4 tins of corn. That's the recipe I'm working on at the moment. They're all out in the sun, drying in the sun. Have another quick look through them, throw away a few of the bad grains. Like I said, it's not a bad mix, not a bad batch of corn, this one, not too many bad grains in it. So now we'll add the rest of the grains to the mix. So that's 4 corn drying in the sun, 4 tins of corn. Okay, I've got 2 lots of wheat to choose from. The one on the right here, that's durum wheat, but you can see there's a lot of poor quality grains in it. I think the reason it didn't make the commercial market or the overseas market is because of all those other grains. So that's either a mixture of soft white wheat or just poor growing conditions. This one here is just commercial brand, just from the local produce. It's clean enough, not the greatest wheat, but that's all that's available at the moment. So I'm going to use this one. With the wheat, I like to get any dust out of it. Any extra husks and that. Just pick a day when there's a little bit of breeze blowing. See a bit of dust off there. Not good for you, that dust either. It's got silicon in it. Can cause you lung problems. Should be doing it outdoors when there's plenty of air around. Okay. That's the wheat. Add that to the corn. That's 3 tins of corn. Okay, that's a total of 8 tins of wheat added to those 4 tins of corn or maize. Mix all that together before I add the next lot. Still drying in the sun. Keep the moisture content down as low as we can get it. Let's do the rest of the grain. Okay, that's 2 tins of sorghum or milo added to the mix. There's 2 tins of dun peas, field peas. Get the dust out of them as well. I do the same with all the grains. Air clean them, remove some of the dust, add it to the mix. I am working to a recipe, I'll show you that later. There's 1 tin of safflower and half a tin of vetch. I'm just putting the vetch in there to get them used to eating it. Don't add it later in the year and find they won't eat it. 1 each of these small containers of linseed and rapeseed. Takes 5 of these to fill one of those big tins. So that's 0.2. So I'll put that down as 0.2. 1 tin full of brown rice. The shop grade brown rice. Buy it from Coles when it's on special. Buy the 5 kilo bags. The linseed is also commercial one, human grade one. 1 tin full of micro ground pellets. These are chook pellets. These are called showbird breeder pellets from Lukey Mills or Laukie Mills. Got a vitamin content in there as well. One of the last grains they eat. They obviously don't like them a lot, but they do eat them, and they are nutritional. 17% protein, I believe. Get a lot of dust coming off the barley, but I air clean all of the grains. Blowing a nice breeze. Whenever you go to do this, the breeze stops. It's always the way. A couple more times, and get a lot of that husk off the barley. And that'll be the last grain I add to the mix.
The pigeons are now working well, going up high and leaving the area. It's now time to start the training tosses. These first training tosses are really just a basketing and release exercise. I just want to get them used to being in the training crate, coming out and flying home, but always on the line of flight. The 2 red lines are the straight flight path to my loft from the first 2 races. We are flying our west route this year, which is west-northwest to me. The first race is from 160 kilometres to me, and the problem is the pigeons have to cross 2 ranges to get to my loft if they fly in a straight line. Firstly, the Great Dividing Range that runs the length of Australia's east coast and is about 130 kilometres west of me. And finally the Diagla Range, which lies just to the west of Brisbane. Both ranges force the pigeons to deviate from the straight line home, depending on the prevailing winds, which are usually southerly headwind in the early part of the season. There's a gap in the range to the north and another gap to the south. The southern route is the better one for me, for the pigeons to come home to my loft. The Federation has a big front of 100 kilometres between the most northerly flyer and the most southerly counterpart. That's when we fly this west route. This means that pigeons flying the wrong line can be forced to fly many more kilometres than the actual race distance, and many will get lost or predated going through the mountains. My first few tosses will be within the 2 red lines, but after that I'll need to toss to the south of the true line of flight to avoid the ranges.
First toss, just up the road. Been in the baskets for quite a while. They arrived home the same time as me, all going in. Exactly what I want, landed on the loft, and they're all going in of their own accord. If I wasn't here, they'd still go in. I'll go down and just push them in. Very warm morning, a couple of them are panting. Probably more from the stress of being in the crate and going somewhere strange and then having to fly home. That's it, food's in there. Come home, they're eating. Back of the loft is open, so they can all get in the back and play boys and girls, mummies and daddies. Second toss, going round and round, up very high, like they're leaving. Just got home from the second toss. No pigeons here, or rather the mob are not here, but there are 2 pigeons in the loft. The 2-year-olds have busted away from the mob and they've come home. There's all the yearlings and some of the 2-year-olds, just here they are. the 2-year-olds broke away and come home on their own. That's the mob. Decided to come back, so that's been what? 25, about 27 minutes. Come on then, come on. Come on. They're all trapping quite nicely as usual. So that's the second toss. Done and dusted. This is the third time in the training crates. You can see now they've finally settled down. They're not fighting and arguing so much like they used to. I think that's very important. That's why I go a few short ones, not really tosses. They're only basket training. I like them to get settled like this. I think you can lose a lot of pigeons if they panic in the crates, and all it takes then is a falcon or something to get stuck into them at the release point and you're in big trouble. So these blokes are nice and settled now. So I'll tie them all up, off they go. Third toss. There they go. That's what you like to see. Get home from your toss. All your pigeons are in the loft. I left some feed there for them, not enough, they'll need more than that, but they've obviously been there a while, they've eaten it all up and they're all in, no birds out. Exactly what I'm looking for. Their appetite has increased dramatically since they've started working and had a few tosses. This is the third tin per side, and they're looking for more. Definitely a lot hungrier, using more energy, and they're able to do it now because they're through the moult. As with all tosses, all the loft is open. Pigeons can go into the nest box section if they want, which they are. All the loft is open to them. All the attractions they got to come home and get in the loft. Finished eating.
Well, that's it for this video. The pigeons are flying well around the loft. They're homing well from the early training tosses, and just as importantly, they're entering the loft immediately. Their appetite is good, the droppies are also good. It's all systems go now. Regular tosses, probably twice per week out to 100 kilometres before racing starts in 6 weeks' time. Good luck and good flying.
Do it now because they're through the moult.